Hello everyone, my name is Chase Worthley, and today I'm going to show you how to propagate some syngonium, or better known as arrowhead plants. And I'm going to also show you how I make my prop box using sphagnum moss and just a little bit of water. And so the idea with this is that the humidity will stay inside of the box and make sure that the plant has all of its nutrients and light. That's why I've chosen a clear container for this project. And I think the only thing that I do not have yet is scissors, which I need those, but we have everything else on this table. So this is the syngonium that I will be propagating today. I would like to take it out of this environment the way that it is potted up, that it is from a box store. So the soil is not the most ideal, even though it has grown to a very decent size. This soil and the way that it is not really made for the house environment. And I would like to make more of them and give a better environment to the rest of the cuttings, which is where the prop box comes in. So, ideally, this is going to become an end product when we cut our props from the main mother plant, where we have at least 3 or 2 nodes from each section of the plant. These nodes are the important part to this project, where the new roots will form and put out new roots so that they can absorb the water and the nutrients. As of right now, this one is in water because I would like to add it to the prop box. So I'm going to start setting up our box with our sphagnum moss. This is going to be our soil and the way that the water will retain inside the box. Sometimes I've seen that people use more of a chunky mix, but those are for more like philodendrons and whatnot, and more made for certain types of plants. I'm going to start off putting all this in here dry. Okay. So now it may not look like a lot as of this moment, but once I add the water to this, we will get about 50% more volume in this box. So another important thing is that I use purified water. So this is what I use for the fish tank as well, where it eliminates the chlorine from the water. I will use tap water, but I will purify it with the prime. To remove the chemicals. So each drop of prime is about a gallon of water. And we will let that sit while we move on to our next step. So now we move on to our syngonium. If we take a look here, we have about, I'd say about 10 sections of the plant on top here. I'm going to remove the hanger. So like I mentioned before, we're gonna look for at least 2 to 3 nodes on each plant. Take my scissors, and I'm just gonna go right out there. Okay, and then we're left with this. And I'll remove the bottom section leaf to expose that node. Now some of these are going to be growing into the pot. So, because these plants are able to produce air roots as well as like monsteras, where they produce air roots that will go back into the ground and they will do the same. And this is why I'm having them on it. But these air roots will help us as well. Let's clean it up just a little bit and remove the bottom section leaf. And so then we're left with our cutting. I will just go around and cut the props from the mother plant. And if you're wondering, will this grow back? It will. The roots are going to stay alive and you will have new growth coming off of where I made these cuts. So don't worry, I'm not killing the plant. I'm actually helping it stay more healthy and be able to produce new growth. Alrighty, so you see that I did not cut every single stem, as these guys are not ready for me to cut because there's not enough nodes or enough length for me to propagate them. So I've left them on the mother plant for them to grow and also to help the roots in this pot. And now I am left with a good handful of propagations that I will now move over and we will start placing them into our prop box that we made. Discard any extra leaves. And I also suggest, as I have done here, put down something on the table so all the dirt has somewhere to go and not end up on your floor. And now that we have let the sphagnum moss sit for a while, you can definitely tell that it has changed colors and it has absorbed the water at this point. I'm just gonna level it out just a little bit. I want it nice and dense. This is what's gonna help keep the propagations upright and keep the nodes moisture and in contact with water. So we take our first one that has an aerial root here, and anything that I miss, like this leaf, I will remove. And at this point, kind of want to start to think about the anatomy of the plant and how everything's going to fit in here so you have enough room. And don't be too scared to put them a little closer together or whatever you see fit. But still being mindful of trying to fit all these propagations in this box. Definitely not a bad thing when we have little dry pieces here, but that's all circumstantial. Clean them up as you will. what I mentioned about arrow roots earlier, this is what will happen. And this will help us achieve what we want. Make it nice and snug in there. I would say when using the sphagnum moss around the propagation, make it like a little volcano. So you have a little bit of a curve to it as you go. But that method might differ on what you're trying to use in your pot box. As if you're using more of a chunky soil or just perlite. Now that we got to a point where we have a few cuttings in here, as I mentioned before, we have to be thinking about where we're going to be placing the rest of the cuttings so that we can fit them in here. I like to think of, when we pull leaves off of plants, thinking of them as irises. If you've ever pulled leaves from irises, it's that same kind of motion. The pullback and that pop. So you don't disrupt the main stem. See, as this one is a little bit taller, I'm going to remove it from the box and make a cut so that it will fit when I put the lid on. Looks like we have a new leaf trying to form here. Sometimes to help them out, we can remove them from the sleeve very carefully and remove, and one more little push, and we have just birthed a new leaf. I will remove the bottom one and we'll place it into the pot box. And now that I clustered a few of them in this area, this middle one that I just planted has a little bit more support than the rest of the other plants. Because we all need friends sometimes, we need support, man. As if this one is still growing, I will not mess with it. Syngoniums come in a lot of different colors and varieties. This is, I'd say, your most common variety. These are a little bit more wider range of colors and shape. Some come in variegated forms. Some of them are your normal houseplants, as of this one. But all of them are pretty much the same. They all come from the same genus and the same family, but they all have different varieties and colors that they offer. But they all work the same way. And no propagation is possible as well. It just takes a little bit longer. So the one that I just cut, I will put in the sphagnum moss along with the original cutting. And we'll go back through and check all of our propagations, make sure they are upright as I first planted them, making sure we did not disturb too many. It looks like I did a pretty good job. And so here we have it. We have our propagations in the sphagnum moss and our propagation box. I'll add the lid, place a grow light, or you could put it in a sunny part of your house. These plants require a decent amount of light, but not high amount of light. So, ideally, just a normal grow light. They're about $5 at Home Depot. Anything with a higher spectrum, but you do not want to keep that light on for more than 7 hours a day. You want to stay within the normal range, and check on the amount of water and what the plants are looking like to keep up on care of them. After a few months of in decent light and water and humidity, you will want to remove one or two of them, check on the health and the progress of what you have going on. Add them to a chunkier mix or something with perlite and peat moss, and then you are going to want to place those either somewhere in your house and around other plants, or you could then sell them as what I intend and make a profit. So, happy planting everyone, and I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas and a happy New Year's. Bye bye.